Hey guys, it's Cessus here, and I have today an album review of Biffy Clyro's Opposites. Biffy Clyro are a Scottish pop rock band, I guess you could call them, and this is a double album they've put together. So yeah, it has 2 discs, both with 11 tracks on it each. Now, with this album, I felt like it's very much... There's a lot of tracks. I think I read they wrote 45 tracks and they managed to get it down to 22. And man, like 22 is too many. Like for this kind of music, it's just the music itself was really quite boring in a lot of parts. I almost considered not reviewing this album because I didn't want to be unfair on it. Like that's the reason I'm never going to be reviewing things like super popular like Justin Bieber, because like I'm just not capable of liking it. But I gave this a listen and I decided that I could do a fair review of it. So, but yeah, so many times throughout this album, it just feels so confined by the general rock which has come before. It sits in this category. It doesn't experiment much, and it just gets, yeah. After a while, it all just blends into each other, and it was quite painful to get through like 22 tracks of just the same thing almost over and over again. It wasn't all bad though. The opening track, Different People, I quite enjoyed. It, like again, this whole album really suffered from horrible lyrics, and I'll try not to mention it too much as I go through the tracks, but you know, like some tracks it was so noticeable that like it just really put me off. But yeah, the song, once the song kind of kicks in with Different People, it's quite enjoyable. Lively guitar riff, it's, you know, put me in a good mood for the album. I thought it was going to be quite good. Black Chandelier comes in, just sounds like a song made for commercial radio. I was really bored. The whole thing was just, yeah, just a generic pop rock song. Nothing to really speak out about. There was a heavy riff that came out of nowhere. It was kind of a nice change of pace, but it's just like the riff itself wasn't like special or anything, but like it felt really out of place. And the whole album does that a fair few times. Like you'll just have this kind of normal pop song, and then all of a sudden this really heavy guitar riff will come in, and it's just like I don't know why. It doesn't fit at all. It kind of makes the song mildly more interesting, but like you can't just build a song on that one guitar riff. The song sounds like balloons again, just a kind of generic song. Guitar riff was actually not too bad. Almost sounds a bit like math rock in the verse. I quite enjoyed that, but yeah, of course comes in very flat. Just like the rest of the album, basically. It needs more dynamics. Opposite, again, about the same. Nothing really to speak out about. The Joke's on Us. Guitar riff was quite nice, kind of woke me up a little bit, but you know, of course comes in, it's boring. Biblical, sorry. I think that's one of their singles. I'm not 100% sure. Guitar riff that comes in straight away is just from the textbook of a generic pop rock band. It's horrible. I cringed when I heard it. Has these epic sounding synths that they've tried to put in, like biblical synths. Am I right? No. But yeah, it's just boring. Yeah, towards the end there's these generics like whoa, and I'm like, oh, I died in that track. A Girl and His Cat. This track was actually quite good. I enjoyed this. Lively guitar riff comes in, kind of woke me back up. The song overall was just a lot more interesting. So it's not a groundbreaking rock song at all. None of these songs on the album will be, but it was just good. It was catchy. It was interesting. The Fog. Lyrics were extremely off-putting at the start. I tried to say, I said this before this, that I'm not going to talk too much, but in this they were like so noticeable that it was really bad. Verse boring. Ending kind of went into like this instrumentation type stuff, and it was kind of interesting. Had some shoegazy elements, and it was interesting. It goes into Little Hospitals, which I also liked. I thought this was quite a good track. Interesting verse, was catchy. Guitar riff wasn't even that generic. It was quite an experimental track, really. It was a very obnoxious guitar. Melody was really dynamic. It was kind of all over the place, and I really liked it. The Thaw suffers from bad lyric syndrome, like the rest of the album, and yeah, it was boring. The Sand at the Core of Our Bones. This is the actual name of the whole first album, and it was quite good. It was a nice string and piano driven instrumental. There's not much to complain about. It's just short, it's nice, sweet. And into the second album, Sting and Bell was the first track. I believe this is also a a single. Very heavy guitar riff was kind of surprising, but it just, vocals came in, just goes boring. It was bagpipes to the end of the track. It was kind of like, they were like bagpipes kind of out of place, but at the same time they were sort of blended in a way that they were quite tolerable. Modern Magic Formula, next track, just another song, boring. And I wrote this for a bunch of songs. Spanish Radio, the same, boring rock song. Victory of the Sun, boring rock song. Pocket, boring rock song. Trumpet or Tap, this one was another good one. It was a little bit more experimental, not too much. It was a little bit cheesy, the vocals in the verse, but it was still alright. It was interesting enough. Chorus was not groundbreaking at all, but it was just good. And yeah, overall it was a good rock song. The riff that comes in, I really liked that towards the end of the track. It was a relatively dynamic track, and I enjoyed that one. Skylight, track 7. Vocal melody was a little bit, it was okay, but the lyrics again were just absolutely cringe-worthy. And synth kind of comes in the second half, and that was kind of interesting. I changed up a bit, and yeah, it was just had a nice sound. It was a little bit a nice change pace. Number 8, Accident Without Emergency. It was a simple, good pop rock song. Again, it was nothing special. It wasn't experimental at all, but it was still well executed. It was far too long. It was like close to 5 minutes, and it doesn't really change that much. I think, yeah, that was my only main issue with it. Woo Woo was the next one. It was kind of a lively, fun track. I guess that was the intention of it. It was lively, alright, but it was kind of boring. Chorus kind of felt out of timing in this. I think it might have been deliberate. If like towards the end of each, how do I say it? I don't really know, but if you listen to it, you'll know. And yeah, it just felt like out of time. I know it was probably deliberate, but it was just, I don't know. It didn't sound good. Picture of a Knife Fight, again, boring rock song, and the title track for this half of the double album, The Land at the End of Our Toes. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like, I didn't find it anywhere near as interesting as the other closer on the first album. Yeah, it was just bit of guitar riff in there. It was alright. So overall, I'm going to give this album a 4.5 out of 10. The album seems so bound by generic rock, as I've said. It played it really safe. It was just really boring. The experimental stuff they did was far more interesting. I enjoyed, I think most of the tracks where they went out and tried to experiment a bit were far more enjoyable. And I haven't listened to Biffy Clyro before, so it's kind of hard to say, but like, I feel like if they got all of the good tracks and put it into one album, it would have been really good. I don't know if they usually have music that's quite boring, or if it's just because this is a double album. But yeah, either way, it was a little bit boring. It played it safe. Yeah. I think that's about it. I think I've covered everything I wanted to say. Thanks for listening. If you've got an opinion on the album, let me know. If there's an album you want to see reviewed, let me know. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.